Hey, Pam.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Good.
It's the time of year that I always look forward to.
My birthday?
Yes. Yes. Yeah,
not
because
till
we always
April.
want to celebrate it 5 months early. Exactly right. Yeah. No. This is the second most important thing of the year that I look forward to, where we talk about the end of the year and wrap things up and reminisce about the good stuff we've seen. And I like doing this because I'm hoping that if anyone maybe missed what we were seeing over the year, they'll go back and check out some things that we really liked, because that's the whole point of this. And we live in an era in which people have access to movies in ways that they never have before. There's nothing you can't really find anymore.
Right.
And
Oh.
that's a double-edged sword.
Very good. And you talk about having people see the things that they may have missed us reviewing or talking about earlier in the year. Well, some of the things I forgot I had reviewed earlier in the year and how much I liked them. So I did go back for a second screening on some of these things, and they may not have made my top list if I wouldn't have done that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that I did. And some of the things came from us exchanging thoughts
Yeah.
and lists as to what was our favorites and why.
Yeah, 52 years or 52 weeks doesn't seem like long, but I think that you and I get so busy.
Yeah.
And we see so many movies.
Right.
That, it becomes a blur at times. So it's always good to go back and check things out, because especially, it's not just movies in theaters anymore.
Right.
We're all over the place with, Netflix and Amazon and Hulu and just so many different sources that we have to remember to check out and say, oh, yeah, I remember that one. That one really moved me. And yeah,
Right.
it is good to be able to go back and confirm whether you feel the same way or not by watching it again.
Yeah. And some of these movies, I missed so much. It's like, where was I during this scene? I don't remember it. And I should have. So I think that, at this time of year, we're able to take a breath and actually look at things a little bit more carefully, because during the year, we're just like rushed nonstop.
Yeah. And I wish, when writing my reviews, and you've mentioned this too, I wish that I could watch a movie twice.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, before I write, we are often in a rush as far as that's concerned too, because as you pointed out, you catch things the second time you didn't.
Yeah.
And I think you watch things in a different way the second and third time through as well.
Oh,
So
for sure. Definitely. I've seen my number 10 4 or 5 times now too.
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And again, still getting more and more out of it every time I watch it. And then watching it with other people. Like I said, my daughter came home, and so we were watching it, and she saw it in her own fresh lens.
And what is your number 10 then?
My number 10 is Glass Onion.
Okay.
Here's another thing. We saw this out in LA, and we were both exhausted.
Yes, we were.
And we said, okay, it was really good. It was really fun, but it wasn't as good as the first one. Now I'm thinking it was as good as the first one. It was different than the first one, but I really enjoyed it. There, I think, are maybe a couple flaws with it compared to the first one, a Knives Out Mystery. But I so thoroughly enjoyed this whole setup and what they did during COVID to create this very smart, fun, and entertaining murder mystery. It takes place in Greece as Benoit Blanc, played by Daniel Craig. What a hoot as he's in the bathtub playing Clue with his online friends and family. Angela Lansbury is one of them. Who else is in that little screen? Do you remember? Natasha.
Stephen Sondheim.
Okay.
Natasha
Natasha.
Leone. And there was another detective type person there too. They all are detectives in one guise or another, either having written a mystery or starring in a reboot of some sort.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And he's Benoit is talking about he doesn't understand this game. It's just child's play. It's too simplistic, and he really wants like a real good mystery. Well, we've got Miles Braun, played by my favorite Edward Norton. I do say that with a little bit of seething cynicism.
Animosity, yeah.
Who has invited all of his good buddies from back in the day when they didn't have anything to his private island in Greece to solve a murder mystery that he has set up. The invitation comes in this elaborate box with puzzles to be solved, and our cast of characters are Kate Hudson, who plays Birdie, Dave Bautista, who plays Duke, Janelle Monáe, who plays Andy. Catherine Hahn is Claire, and Leslie Odom Jr. is Lionel. We also have Madeline Klein, who I finally figured out how I knew her.
How?
Outer Banks, Netflix series.
Okay.
Cute girl, really sweet. And she plays Duke's girlfriend. Odd couple, and we find out later in the film as to why they are such an odd couple. This is written and directed by Ryan Johnson once again. And Mr. Benoit Blanc ends up being at this island uninvited, but he says he got an invitation. We're not quite sure how that could possibly be. We also learn that Andy, Janelle Monáe's character, is a little standoffish, and there has been something done to her. She's been wronged in some way by this group of people.
Bad blood.
Bad blood. What has happened, we do not know for quite some time, but the pieces start to fall together as the murder mystery kind of spirals out of control. This is smart. We've got so many different types of characters. Kate Hudson's character, Birdie, is this flighty, ditzy, ridiculous, rule-breaking woman who has hit it big thanks to Miles Braun. And we've got Duke, who has also hit it big thanks to Miles Braun. And Catherine Hahn plays this uptight mom who is the governor of, I don't know what state, Washington, Oregon, something like that, who has hit it big because of Miles Braun. We see the common denominator here. And there's also another nefarious type of thing going on that we don't quite know about that also ties them all together. There is a murder that takes place, and Mr. Blanc needs to find out who done it. And this journey that they go through is absolutely hilarious. I had a lot of fun with it. It's just nonstop fun. I didn't laugh as much with this one as I did with the first one, but I did have a lot of fun with this.
Well, I've seen it twice, and it was better the second time. As you say, we were exhausted the first time we saw it.
Yeah.
I still don't think it's as good as the first one. I think the characters in the first one were more appealing.
Okay.
And I think that's the difference for me. But still, this is an incredibly entertaining film. I mean, no question about it. And, it's funny that even though you know who done it,
Yeah.
you still go back and watch it and you can still be entertained. I mean, that says something.
Yeah, definitely.
That certainly says something. And, Netflix, I mean, talk about in for a penny, in for a pound. They paid Ryan Johnson $465 million for 2 movies.
Oh, I thought it was 660.
No, I don't think
No?
so. I don't know.
Okay, more than I have.
466, at this point, who cares? Who's counting?
True.
A ton. They paid a ton of money for 2 films, and this is the first one. I don't know when the next one will be coming.
Hopefully in a couple of years.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
But, they are firmly invested in Benoit Blanc, and I certainly hope we get to find out more about him, because
I don't think we're going to. Remember in the Q&A?
I don't like that.
He said, you don't want to know too much. They did give a couple little tidbits away of who he is at home,
Right,
which
some
is
good
kind of
cameos
fun.
throughout the film
Yes.
as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like that or not. It seems to be cheating.
Okay.
Give me some background. Give me some more. Let's see how this goes. I hope we get, more over the next movie or two, because, he's just too unique of a character not to get a backstory.
Okay. All right. I'll give you that. We'll see what he comes up with.
So, yeah.
I liked all the malpropisms that they had throughout the entire. Imbreathiate. After we all imbreathiate, let's get started.
This is so stupid.
A lot of nice little pull quotes from this film.
Yeah, big time.
So
Big
it was
time.
your number 10.
Well, I don't want to say too much about my number 10
Why?
because it's your number 1.
Okay.
So, maybe we should put that off, because I know you're going to want to say a lot about it.
No, go for it. I know that I saw it through a different lens than you did, so let's hear what you have to say about it.
Well, I can do that when we talk.
Oh, no, this is your number 10. Go ahead. You can do it.
My number 10 is A Good Nurse, another Netflix production. And a movie that, and you and I have talked about this, and can't quite figure out why they haven't gotten behind this one a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because I think it's obviously we both think it's one of the best things we've seen this year.
Right.
True story, unbelievable true story, about a guy named Charlie Cullen, played by Eddie Redmayne. Absolutely chilling performance. Guy who is a serial killer, going from hospital to hospital, working as a nurse, stealthily, killing patients that come under his care. And he's allowed to do this because the hospitals where he worked do not want to have any sort of liability. They do not want any sort of publicity. They just calmly and quietly let him go, and they don't pass on the word that maybe this is a guy you don't want to hire if he shows up on your doorstep. And he was allowed to continue this over, I don't know how many years, 12, 15 years. I mean, they think that he killed more people than any other serial killer ever.
Yeah.
They still don't have a number as to how many he might have been responsible for. But he finally gets to this one hospital where he makes friends with a woman by the name of Amy Longbaugh, played by Jessica Chastain. She's got some problems. She's a single mom trying to keep it together. She's suffering from a heart ailment. She doesn't want anyone to know because she doesn't want to get fired. She can't get her health insurance. It doesn't kick in for another couple of months until she's been employed there for a year. Another crime.
Right.
So she's got to keep this under wraps. Cullen helps her, and a friendship forms. And that's really what the film, to me, is about. It's, they could have... We talked to the director, Tobias.
Right.
And many other filmmakers would have just gone the route of, we're going to just treat this as a procedural and just see how this all happened and how they caught him. And they do touch on that, which is fascinating. But I think it's just more about this friendship.
It is.
And the bond they have, and how she, has to take action once she realizes what's going on. I mean, it's, talk about heroism. The film gets into the things that this woman had to do. And deal with also disbelieving authority figures who's like, yeah, we can't really prove this. You got to leave this alone. I mean, incredibly moving. And these two together, Jesus. I mean, really. They're one of our. They're both. They're two of our bests right now. And seeing them interact was just a delight, an absolute delight. I hope that somehow or another they make another couple movies together because they've got that chemistry. That's just absolutely captivating.
Right. I think one of the reasons why this made my number one is it was so unique in the way that Tobias Lindholm told the story, because it wasn't just a true crime thriller. It was a story of friendship between these two people. And Jessica Chastain's character of Amy said she really only saw the killer, Charlie, twice in the time that she knew him. Mm-hmm. And Charlie was, and as you had said, Eddie Redmayne, he is just incredible with giving us this sweet performance of a real person, a real man who's married, who has children, who he can't see, who's got, he's really trying to keep it together during these difficult times, who actually is, killing people almost every day. And to find that balance and to really connect himself with that character, that was incredible. Mm-hmm. I just thought it was perfect storytelling. It was something that was gripping, that was real life, that could have been sensationalized, and it wasn't. It was told in a grounded way.
Grounded, that's good. I was going to say, you don't want to say matter of fact, but grounded.
Yeah.
That's perfect. That's a perfect way of putting it. So that one, it's been hard to shake.
Yeah.
That one's been really hard to shake. I mean, we know there are monsters among us, but seeing it that way and the way he compartmentalizes things to function as you're talking about,
right.
That is terrifying.
Yeah. Did you ever do any research about him, Charlie Cullen?
I didn't have to, because when we were interviewing them, Mr. Redmayne went into that whole history of what he found out about this guy and the tragic background that he had.
Right.
So I figured he pretty well covered it. But yeah, what a story.
There's one question that I have. Was he really married, and did he really have children?
I don't know.
I don't think he did.
You think that was all part of his front?
Yeah. In order
Very well
to connect.
Could be.
I don't know. I'm curious. And I'll go ahead and link up our interview with Jessica and Eddie so that you can take a listen to that as well.
Yeah, that was one of our better ones this year.
Yeah, it really was.
They were very much involved in this, as they should have been, and they wanted to talk, and that always makes it easy.
So we're on to my number 9, which I don't know if mine made your top list or not. Not okay.
Yes, it did.
Ah, good deal. See, we're a little bit more on the same page than
I
you
think
thought.
we've got 4 that are on both of our lists.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my number 8. So
Okay.
yeah, let's just cover this one then.
So Not Okay is about a young woman who is like every other millennial out there and trying to work and trying to figure out how she can rise above everybody else by being on social media. She's not doing so well in her job. She works for some sort of a magazine company, and her name is Danny, and she, played by Zoe Deutsch, who we both adore.
Love her.
And Danny says that she's been accepted to a writers' conference in France. Well, she hasn't. She's lying. So she takes some time off and she buys all these elaborate backdrops to make her look as if she is actually in France, until she wakes up one morning, her phone is blowing up, and there has been a huge bombing that has taken place in France, in Paris. Well, everyone thinks that she's there, so now she has to start lying even more. One lie begets another, until she finds that she has dug herself a hole she cannot get out of. Her lies have dire consequences, which she couldn't have predicted until it is way too late. This her want for notoriety, her want for fame supersedes every other aspect of life possible for her. She learns a very, very important lesson, and we travel along with her to see this, and we can pinpoint so many other people, I think, that have fallen prey to the need to be on social media. It's a movie I think everybody can relate to.
Well, yeah, and it's such a smart film because it also deals with school shootings. You know, it also deals with the gun violence because Danny meets a young woman named Rowan, played by Mia Isaac. She was in a film that you loved as well, Driving with Her Dad.
Yes.
That one. And she's survived a school shooting, and she's a social media influencer presence, and they, cross paths. Danny wants to be her friend, wants to help, promote her. And, of course, when Rowan finds out what happened, I mean, everything hits the fan. And just seeing a true victim, them portraying this, and the effect that this young girl has on this young girl, I thought was incredibly touching. But also how social media comes back and bites her in the ass as well.
Right.
People who are who are for or against gun control, or attack her, and yet this girl has such resiliency and strength. And that's what I took away from it, especially the final scene. She's at a poetry reading, and Danny sneaks in and hears her speak. And it's like, my God. And that devastates Danny even further because she realizes what a fraud she is in the face of this young girl, this brave young girl.
It's not a happy ending.
It's not, and that's one of the reasons I loved it.
Yeah.
It wasn't, we're going to tie everything up with a bow, and it's okay.
Right.
The filmmaker, a woman by the name of Quinn Shepard, she also wrote it.
Right.
I liked that. She's not offering up simple, she's calling this whole thing out for what it is. I'm old, maybe I just don't get it, but I swear this is all doing more harm than good. I mean, I don't see much good coming out of this whole social media thing.
Right.
And as we go on, we're seeing more and more of that. And I love that they put that under the microscope in this film.
Right.
I wish more people had seen this. And I'm hoping people will check it out. It's on Hulu.
Right.
But it's just so timely. I found it so powerful. I watched it twice in a night.
Oh, did you really?
As soon as it was done, I started it again because I wanted to make sure that it hit me the same way, and it did. But yeah, I really liked that one, and like I said, I think that was number 8 on my list.
Okay, all right.
So yeah, so there we go.
We're close with that. So what was your number 9?
My number 9, I think, is your number 8 or number 7. The Menu.
Okay.
The Menu. Gosh, was this fun?
Wasn't it?
It was. And what does it say about us that we think this is fun? We're pretty sick.
Yeah, my husband got up and walked out. He didn't watch it.
Oh, you're kidding.
No.
I haven't even bothered trying to show it with my wife.
No?
Yeah, I know what her reaction will be. So I'm not even bothering with that.
Even Kristen thought I was a little sick for liking it. She goes, but I liked it. The more I think about it.
I think you and I were talking afterwards, and I think we both had the same experiences of being the only ones laughing
Yeah.
in our respective theaters.
Yeah.
Because I found this to be not only incredibly biting, but hilarious.
It was. Ironically so.
And this is another one like Not Okay that talks about, issues, societal issues that we're dealing with and grappling with. And this, of course, is, the pretentiousness of the 1%, the pretentiousness of in this case, food.
Right.
Food. And Rafe finds, gosh, what a great job he does. It's not just a one-note performance, though it seems like it.
No.
He's Chef Slowik.
Right.
And he's got this restaurant out on an island. And if you got $1,250 laying around, you can have dinner there. Well, there's 12 saps who have that, and they all convene for dinner one fateful evening.
12 saps with plus ones.
With plus, yeah. Yeah. And they're all there to just, revel in this meal in which every dish is a piece of art. Every dish has a story about it, which the chef will tell. And as the evening progresses, we realize that these stories are becoming more personal as he tells them. And he's got an axe to grind with every single one of these people at this dinner. And this, it's a reckoning.
It's no mistake they were invited.
Yes, it is a reckoning. He is going to...
I like that. It's a reckoning.
Reckon with all these people and the insults and damage they've done to him, or that he perceives has been done.
Right.
And doesn't end well.
Yep.
But Anya Taylor-Joy, though, she's not supposed to be there. She's an escort who has been brought by Nicholas Hoult at the last minute. Nicholas Hoult. Frickin' hilarious.
Right?
Frickin' hilarious, this kid.
Somebody dies right in front of him, and he's like, oh, I really like the syrupy texture of this.
Yes,
and like, oh my God, are you still paying attention to the food?
Yeah, he is so enamored with the chef and the food and taking pictures of it.
He is a major sycophant.
And then one of the highlights of the film is when the chef makes him cook.
Yes, chef.
That's great.
Yes, chef.
Yes, chef. But Margot, played by Anya Taylor-Joy, she sees through the chef. She eventually figures out what's going on. And one of the things I liked about the screenplay was how it showed that these two have something very much in common with their past that binds them.
Right.
And I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
And that just shifted everything for me as I was watching. Like, ha. Now I see what you're doing here.
Yeah.
And they didn't let that thread go. They were smart enough to develop that all the way through.
Oh, it is. That stitches the whole thing together.
Completely.
Yeah.
Completely. John Leguizamo, who we love.
Yep.
He shows up as a has-been movie star. You know who he based that on? I read an article. He likes almost everyone, he says, except Steven Seagal. He had a bad experience with Steven Seagal. They made a movie together. He calls him a deplorable human being.
Really?
Yes. He has a whole stand-up routine about Steven Seagal.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And he based this character, this has-been name-dropping movie star, on Seagal.
Oh, how funny.
So
I
next
love
time
it.
you watch it, think of that.
I
'Cause,
will.
yeah, it makes sense. This one's not for all tastes. But I loved it.
I did too. And that's how I made my list this year. I didn't make it based on what everybody else is saying about every other movie. I made it based on what did I love. This is my list.
Right. And people have asked me in the past, how do you determine the top couple? To me, it's got to be an emotional response from me somehow.
Right.
I mean, I can admire the art of many films, but if I'm not moved or angered in some way by it, then,
Right.
it ultimately, it doesn't mean anything.
I agree.
So your next one, your number, 8?
My number
This
8.
one I really liked as well, but it didn't quite crack my top 10, but this one stuck with me.
This one is Good Luck to You, Leo Grand, another movie that you can find on Hulu. And it stars Emma Thompson as a retired school teacher named Nancy Stokes. She also is a recent widow, probably about, 3 years, I guess it's been.
I think that's what she said, yeah.
And she decides that, man, she's lived a very uptight life her entire life. She's raised kids. She's really never had an orgasm. And so she hires a sex worker because she wants adventure and sex in her life.
Why not?
And this sex worker.
Yeah, young actor that you and I had not seen before, and I was very
been
much
in a few
impressed
things.
with this young man. He, of course, plays Leo Grand, Daryl McCormick.
And, man, he's good at what he does.
He's got it together, this guy.
He does. For a young guy, young, handsome guy, he has it together. He can do everything. But what this really comes down to is when these two people meet on a regular basis, it's a therapy session.
Yeah.
It is not just sex. It is delving into Nancy's background. What does she feel about her marriage? What does she feel about her children? Have they disappointed her? What regrets in life does she have? And how is she going to change her pattern? It's kind of like a coming of age movie for a 50-something-year-old. This is a really bold and poignant movie to me because I can't think of any other movie that's like it out there.
No.
That dares to go down into a female's psyche of a 50-something-year-old woman and of a woman who isn't happy with what's happened in her life, maybe doesn't regret everything, but would like some changes. And how do you make that happen? Emma Thompson is extraordinary. In the final scene, I wouldn't have had the chutzpah to do that.
I read that they rehearsed
Yes.
nude.
With the director. The director was
She
also naked.
Yeah. Just to get everyone comfortable and used to it.
Like,
'cause
hey,
that,
this is what it is.
That was really gutsy on her part.
It really was, and beautiful.
Completely. Completely. Yeah.
I loved it. I'm getting choked up just
Yeah.
thinking
No,
about
you
it.
you have to embrace who you are, and like you say, the clock's ticking for this woman.
Yeah.
And you've got to live your life.
Yeah. And
You should not have any regrets.
no, and I'm going to guess that this was filmed during COVID as well. It could have easily been a play because it's basically
Completely.
just these two people with the exception of one final scene where we meet one other character.
Which was not necessary. It was fun, but it wasn't necessary.
I think it was a way for her to say where she's was and how far she's come,
Okay.
from an outside perspective.
Yeah, this is another one. Again, I hope that you seek this out.
Yeah.
It sounds, this couldn't be my cup of tea, but it's just about, like you say, I remember watching a show about, men who go to prostitutes, and the prostitutes or the sex workers say, it's not about the sex. They just want to talk most of the time
Yeah.
after it's,
Yeah.
and there's something to be said about that. Intimacy isn't just about, sex.
Right.
It's something much more.
Yeah, definitely.
So I really like this one too.
Good. Man, we haven't disagreed on anything crazy. What's yours? Number 8.
Well, number 8 we've already talked about. Not okay.
Okay.
So we're gonna jump up to my number 7.
All right.
Number 7, Causeway.
Okay.
A movie that requires patience, but I think that for me, at least, it paid off in great dividends. I can't remember this year a more quiet film.
Right.
A very quiet, a very subtle, a very deft film. The director, Lila Neugebauer, we interviewed her. What a smart, gracious woman.
Another favorite interview of ours from this year.
She was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many ways that this material has been done before. Jennifer Lawrence plays a woman named Lindsay. She's a veteran of the Afghan conflict. She has suffered a traumatic brain injury, and she's come back home to Louisiana to try and get her life together. Rehab, agonizing rehab. A good day is when she can tie her shoe. A good day is when she can remember 3 out of the 6 things on her list of things to do. And that really moved me, that they showed these little things, these little victories that she has that are done in the quiet of her lonely room or unbeknownst to everyone else. People just going about their day, and she's struggling to just do these things we take for granted.
Right.
And these actions, when they happen, they're not overplayed.
No.
We don't have, violins playing in the background to tell us how we feel. The director and Lawrence, they just do them very subtly and underscore that in a very, very deft way, how important these things are. And the tragedy of this whole thing is that Lindsay wants to get better so she can re-enlist.
It's what she knows.
It's what she knows. She's so displaced at this point. Home isn't home.
Right. Where is home?
And we see that, and we hear about that about so many veterans.
Yeah.
And that's the tragedy. She wants to go back.
Yeah.
And her doctor, of course, is, against this.
Right.
But has to, help her along the way. She meets another man. She meets another guy who has some problems, played by
Brian Tyree Henry.
I had some problems with this character. I think we've discussed that. It seemed a little bit too convenient that they would run into each other, and their scenes together didn't quite work for me.
Okay.
But the overall intent of this film, and Miss Lawrence, I'm not a fan of hers personally.
Really?
You know,
Okay.
I've read some things, had a couple run-ins with her,
Oh, really?
but damn is she good.
Yeah.
It's all in her eyes.
Yeah.
Watch her eyes when you watch this movie. She will break your heart with a glance. And this one really ended up getting to me. This one is on Apple TV, and really, really check it out.
The first time I watched it, I wasn't as much of a fan until the second time and after the interview
Yeah.
with the director. And seeing it through a different lens, I think I was able to. I don't want to say I wasn't able to see the struggle. The quietness bothered me, I think, but that is the reality of situations like this. Jennifer Lawrence is extraordinary in this role, and I think one of the things that the writer and director, as well as Lawrence, were able to really hone in on is Jennifer Lawrence is this character of Lindsay. She looks normal. She
Yep.
looks regular.
Yep.
But things are off because of her traumatic brain injury. And do you know how many people we interact with every day in a store? We get irritated because, somebody didn't pull over, or somebody,
Yeah.
took
Yeah.
too long at the cashier, and it's holding me up from getting home to watch another movie.
Yeah.
Maybe
we don't
they've
realize.
got some issues, but because they don't look different on the outside, we don't take the time to have any compassion.
Yeah, that empathy.
And that, I think, is what I took away, especially both characters. And I liked Brian Tyree Henry in this role. I usually see him as a comedic actor who is kind of the same note all the way through.
Right.
And I feel like he was able to bring us something different.
He did a good job. I just had a problem with the character in the script.
Gotcha.
It
Okay.
just seemed, like I say, a bit too convenient.
Okay.
But you're right. I think that's the whole point of this film. Our having empathy
Yeah. Yeah.
for that, because we
Yeah.
have no idea
No.
what these people are dealing with.
Right. And I think also, we all have different things that happen in our lives. Nobody knows what's going on in my life
Exactly.
really behind closed doors or yours. So we've got a smile on our face. What do we say when, how you doing today? I'm good. Are you?
Hold that thought, because that's going to be a key issue when we get to my number 4 film
Okay.
in the next podcast. But
Cool.
yes, yeah.
All right. So where are we?
Let's see.
I think we're on, let's see, 10, 9, 8, 7. I'm on my 6th now.
You're on your 6th, which happens to be my number 2.
Wow, look at that. Emily the Criminal. This is a movie that I really enjoyed the first time round.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw it on, I forget, where is it playing? Is that on Hulu?
It's on Netflix, actually.
Netflix.
Yeah.
Oh, it's on Netflix. And I'm scrolling through. I'm like, oh, Emily the Criminal. I really liked that. Let me watch that one again. And then I'm watching it the second time. I'm like, this is really good. This isn't just like I really liked it. I really loved this one. Emily the Criminal. Emily is played by Aubrey Plaza, and she is playing a caterer who helps stuff boxes, basically.
Yeah.
She's got a really low-level, almost factory-like job, getting paid crap wages. She is up to her ears in debt with student debt. She can't get a decent job. She wants to be a graphic designer or artist of some sort. She's very talented, but because she's got a criminal record, she can't get a job to save her life. She also has a little bit of a temper, I've got to say.
Understandable, though.
We watch her as she as her friends try and help boost her up and give her opportunities that get blown, and she finds herself in a situation where she can make some money and maybe actually get out of some debt and not feel like she's constantly drowning, and that is to do credit card fraud. She moves up the ladder as she gets involved with one of the guys in this almost like a mafia family.
It's definitely an organization.
It is an
yeah.
organization, and probably not a certified LLC. And Yusuf is his name, played by Theo Rossi.
Love that guy.
He's good.
He's good.
And they had a great chemistry
Yeah.
together, too. They connect on ways that the Yusuf's siblings don't really want him to connect with her because they feel that she is a liability because she makes some mistakes. This is all about, again, I think we're really drawn to these class differences.
Well, it's in the air.
And these struggles that everybody is dealing with now. So the reality of situations is mirrored in art.
I just wrote an article for one of the newspapers I write for my top 10. And the thing I noticed to mention in the article is that every character in my top 10 is desperate in some way or another.
Interesting.
In a corner somehow. and has to act.
Yeah. And that's Emily. And Aubrey Plaza is extraordinary. I mean, I really like her as an actress most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time. But in this role, she really shines because as you were talking about Jennifer Lawrence, watch her eyes. Aubrey Plaza is the same. And the little twitch of her upper lip, and I don't even know if she's doing that intentionally, but she's truly feeling the frustration and the angst and the desperation of her situation, and loved it. Absolutely loved it.
I've seen this 3 times now and could sit down and watch it again.
Yep.
It's 97 minutes, and man, does it move. I
Yep.
mean, it's John Patton Ford is the guy's name who wrote and directed it.
What else did he do?
Nothing.
I know.
He did one short film. I looked him up on IMDb. What a debut.
Right?
I can't wait to see what he does again. But there's no fat on this film at all. And this reminds me of the gangster films of the 30s. In that, you see a character who makes... Talk about a slippery slope. She makes one decision.
Right.
And she justifies one more. And well, okay, I guess I'll just... you justify those things in your mind, and before you know it, oh shit.
Right.
Oh shit.
Well, it's like a Not Okay. Danny,
Exactly.
Danny has one lie to cover up another lie to cover up another lie, and before you know it, it's oh shit.
Yeah, and now, the title tells you everything.
Right.
Emily, one of my favorite films of all time is I Am a Fugitive from a Chain Gang with Paul Muni in 1932. And the final scene of that film is so reminiscent of the final scene here.
Oh, is it?
It is.
Okay.
Once you are resigned to your fate and there's no way out,
Embrace it.
you might as well. Because what else can you do?
Right.
All those decisions have led you to this. There's no way out. Okay, well then this is my path. This is what I'm going to take. Absolutely love this film, and it pissed me off that our organization
I know.
did not recognize this. And my fear is that other than the Independent Spirit Awards, where I anticipate
I think
this
it
to
will
be
be.
at the forefront, I don't think anyone's going to recognize this. And it's a shame because, like I say, it's number 2 on my list. I love this.
Yeah. Wow. Very good. What was your number 6?
Number 6. A movie that you changed my mind about. You Won't Be Alone.
Okay. You're number 6. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because we watched that via Sundance.
Right.
And yeah, I was they promoted this as a elevated horror film. They promoted this as something along the lines of The Witch or Midsummer. And that was my expectation going in. And once you get into this, once you get past the first 20 minutes, it becomes obvious this is not what that's about. This is so much more than just a straight horror film. This is an existential, study
Oh, it sure
of
is.
what it is to be a human being.
Right.
And it at times is disturbingly violent, but at other times it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
It's absolutely beautiful.
It's poetic.
It is. It's so good. It takes place in Macedonia in like the 1600s. There's this witch who is lonely and wants a daughter, and convinces this woman in another village that to bargains with her to get her daughter. And the woman says, fine, but you can't have her till she's 16. She puts this girl in hiding, but of course the witch finds her and at 16 takes the girl. It doesn't work out. She isn't the daughter that she's always dreamed to be, and the witch cuts her off, but not before she gives this young lady the ability to take over the body of other people.
Which is what this witch can do.
Which is what the witch can do, too. It's messy. I mean, when we're taking over it's not just a spiritual thing.
No.
It does involve, entrails and gutting the
Cleansing.
person and actually taking over the body, which is rough. But once that happens, this girl, this consciousness, sees the world through the eyes of a variety of different people. One of them
Including
being
animals.
A dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, at one point she's a dog in the way she sees things. At one point she's this abused wife, played by Noomi Rapace.
Yeah.
Another point she's a man.
Yeah.
She's a man, so she experiences sex and other things through the eyes and consciousness of a man.
But it's all this very innocent way
Yeah,
of looking at everything.
completely. She knows
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
Because she's been isolated the first 16 years of her life, she knows nothing of the world and is discovering it through these various people. I thought it was just, after I figured out what it was, I went back and watched it again because you said, oh no, you missed the point of this, and
Yeah.
you were right. And I was like, holy shit, this is something completely different. And it's something that I haven't really, all these movies that are on my list, I haven't been able to shake.
Right.
If I'm driving down the road sometime, then every once in a while my mind will turn and like, oh yeah, I remember that was really, yeah. And this was definitely one of them. This one really stuck with me. It came out as we were getting out of COVID, didn't get the play it deserved in any way, shape, or form. I'm hoping that this becomes like a cult film.
I think
that
it
people
will.
discover it, because
I think so.
it's not what you think, and it's very much worth your time. You won't be alone.
I would agree with you. Very interesting film in that I think it was just not marketed right.
How do you market it? I mean, they marketed it as a horror film, but I mean, how would you even? I mean, I wouldn't want the job of say, okay, it's your job to get butts and seats for this one. How do you even go about it?
Yeah, I don't know.
So the odds are stacked against them on that one. Okay. But I loved it.
Good. And I think we're gonna wrap right here, and we'll have to tune back in.
Did you do your number 6?
I think so. What was my number 6?
I don't know.
Number 6 is Emily the Criminal.
Okay.
Yes. So we have done 10 through 6.
Mm-hmm.
So tune back in. We're gonna regroup here and listen for 5 through 1.
Yep.
Because I don't think we are duplicated in our 5 through 1s.
Nope, we're not.
Okay. Thanks for listening, and I hope you check out all of these amazing films, even though Chuck and I have a very different list in some ways. I think you're going to enjoy all of them, because I don't disagree with anything that you've put on your list. Like, oh, God, you have that on your list,
Yeah. Well, and I think that's why it's good that we are together. We cast a wide net.
Right.
And I think that between us, we have a very eclectic taste.
I think so, too. All right, cheers.